I felt like there was a coloured kind of floor under us, illuminating Saturday Night Fever style.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, love that.
It was good.
Yeah, don't mind it.
Had a bit of a bop to it, put you in a good mood.
Energy.
We'll see if we stick to it anyway. Hello and welcome to the CarsGuide Podcast, where we tear down, pressure test and rebuild the issues of the automotive week. I'm James, and with me are Matt.
G'day.
And Tom.
Yep.
This week, among other things, we'll look at hard-working tradie that knows how to charge, fast Italians in Germany, and the great CarsGuide debate. So stay with us. But first, MuskWatch. So, first up, Tesla's next vehicle software update, which is 9.0, will include several playable Atari games as new Easter eggs.
Right.
Okay, so the end of Atari was actually E.T., the game E.T., so hopefully that's in there.
Yeah.
But I suppose your others, like Tempest and Pole Position and Missile Command, they're all going to be there. So Elon's put that out on the Twitters, and people are frothing about it.
Good.
They're loving that.
Good for driver distraction.
Yeah, it strikes me as the opposite of a safety feature.
Although it does remind me of what you did a couple of weeks ago with Street Fighter and the Honda Civic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So for the viewers, I played Street Fighter on the Honda Civic's multimedia display because unlike a lot of cars, it actually has an HDMI input, so you can plug.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, you can plug game consoles into the center screen.
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose when your Tesla is on autopilot, you can then be playing your Atari game, which is the whole package, really. That's fantastic.
Isn't that great?
What a way to live.
Next up also says, the dear leader says that he's going to be adding camping and party mode to the Model S and the X and the 3. So all the current models. And what that means is you can have 48 hours worth of power, so you can party on.
Right.
And Elon says that big batteries rock.
So this is it's one mode, party and camper mode.
I think it's the same thing.
Right.
But it's just partying or camping or whatever you want for 48 hours straight.
So I guess that 48 hours might be variable depending on how hard you party.
I don't know. Depends on what kind of stereo you've got.
Yes.
Now, the other interesting little snippet here is that Tesla is being countersued by whistleblower Martin Tripp, who Elon accused on Twitter of sabotage and a shooting threat.
Right.
Now, apparently what Tripp has claimed is that there was some reuse of discarded materials in the production process.
Right.
Some of them battery packs that were broken but glued together and just slammed into Tesla Model 3s to keep the numbers rolling out the door,
God.
which, that's his claim. We're not saying there's any validity to that. So there's suing, counter-suing. That'll all be very interesting to follow.
And it was done in a tent, which is even more
It was done in
impressive.
the wedding, marquee that they'd hired. So
good on them.
There's that. And look, the fact is that Tesla Model 3 production, according to Tesla, i.e. Elon, hit 5,000 a week multiple times in July. Now, okay, I thought they only claimed once.
Yeah.
That's a week, okay, 5,000 a week. But anyway, despite that, Business Insider reports that Q2 cash burn for Tesla was still $739 million.
Right.
So they're going backwards.
I guess
every minute.
You could have had several instances of 5,000 a week if you counted like Tuesday to Tuesday, then Wednesday to Wednesday, Thursday to Thursday.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's just
how you cook the books.
Yeah.
On the numbers.
Yeah.
Or is it somewhere between, 2 and 3 of those weeks? Because there's only 4 weeks in a month.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, that's the claim. Very interesting because the Bloomberg Model 3 tracker still has things at 4,385 a week. So that's where we're at on that yardstick. So moving on, we'll leave the dear leader until next week and see what else pops up. In terms of our news, a much anticipated new arrival, the Mercedes-Benz V6 X-Class has lobbed, and it's $73,000 and a bit before on-road costs. Matt, where do you think that leaves it in the great dual cab ute race?
Expensive is where it leaves it. There's Volkswagen Amarok Sportline V6, which is selling at the moment at $53,990 drive away.
Yep.
So $73,270 plus on-road costs. You're looking at nearly $80,000 on the road.
Yep.
That's too much.
Yeah.
But, you know, it has the Mercedes badge and people will be drawn to that.
Because when all's said and done, it is actually a work truck.
Yes.
It's focused on being a work truck.
Yeah.
And much and all, as these dual cab utes are increasingly family transport, lifestyle fun on the weekend, work truck during business hours and whatever, this Mercedes-Benz with the three-pointed star on the bonnet is still very much a commercial vehicle, and it's being marketed by Mercedes-Benz vans in this market. So it's got to compete with cars like that Amarok.
Exactly.
And, you know, the Nissan that it's kind of sort of pretty closely based on.
And you look at Ranger Raptor as well. As we saw last week, it launched and it's a $75,000 ute, but it's a much more musclier, much more manlier, much more robust adventurer style ute than this is.
Doesn't have a V6.
Doesn't have a V6, that's correct.
And
that's
you know, you see the comments coming in, that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes, and as much as Ford would say, look, the actual performance is there, irrespective of the number of cylinders, perception counts for a heck of a lot, you know, in most markets, but in that one, in terms of the Raptor particularly.
Oh, if you rock up to the worksite in an Amarok 4-cylinder, people will laugh at you. But if you've got the V6,
I know that happened to Tom
V6
several times.
Yeah.
He rolled up the worksite. He was the laughing stock. You couldn't get rid of him fast enough. But okay, that's fine. We'll look. The proof of the pudding will be in the selling. You know, we'll see how many they shift.
I think that's interesting because it's like now they're trying to push that market as far as it'll go.
Yeah.
How much are actually people willing to pay for a dual cab ute?
Yeah, precisely.
Well, we saw Ram with the 1500 launching locally. At that launch was last month, I think, and we haven't driven it yet. But you know, it's starting at 89 or whatever, but it's a bigger ute, so I guess that matters to some people.
It's kind of an interesting one because when you step right up to heavy commercial trucks, and Mercedes-Benz is obviously a player there in prime movers and big rigid trucks and things, the badge doesn't matter half as much. Yes, it has a great reputation, but it's what's the fuel economy, what's the reliability, what kind of upkeep to it, what's the maintenance
cost
cycles,
of ownership,
all that stuff. So I'm just as likely to buy a Hino as a Kenworth, as a Merc, depending on how those things add up. The other end of the scale is you've got an S-Class sedan, and that's all about the badge and the luxury and whatever. Somewhere in between, there's this field where are you really about what the truck can do, or you're about the badge on the grille? It'll be interesting to see where this one kind of fits, you know?
I've always, since I first drove the X-Class 4-cylinder a while ago now, I've always thought, I think the V6 is going to be the one to wait for.
Yeah, right.
So I'm really looking forward to driving it.
But much and all, as Tom gets laughed off the job site, you know, for turning up in a 4-cylinder, maybe you get laughed off the job site for having paid best part of $80,000 for your dual cab ute. It's like, you know, what are you tosser? Come on.
And if you're buying the top spec one, it's 79, and then, you know, you probably want you probably need to have a few options on it, because even at $79,000, it's not the most luxuriously equipped ute in the segment. So you could be looking at nearly $100,000 on the road. I mean, we've seen 4-cylinder ones on the market at 90. So it's crazy money.
Do you think that 90 is because of the factory options or because of aftermarket stuff that's been put on there?
There's a lot of factory options to add.
Right.
But you can go crazy with a bit of aftermarket nonsense if you want to. But I mean, just imagine one day in a few years' time when they're selling a X-Class V6 with an AMG styling pack, which will probably eventually happen. You know, could be $100,000 before on-roads. So
could be.
I think, you see that price, $73,270. How many do you reckon are actually going to be roughly close to that number?
We will see. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Now, on to other news, and in the kind of falling dominoes on the whole warranty front, the latest domino to fall is Mazda. So now they've gone to a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, following Holden and Ford being pretty big players that went that way a little while ago. And it starts to put some pretty serious pressure on the market leader, namely Toyota. Of course, you've got Kia, which has been out there with a 7-year unlimited since 2014. So for 4 years, they've had that in market, and only now Mazda goes from 3 to 5. But Tom, Toyota's still at 3 years unlimited. It's got to happen, right? This is just inevitable.
I feel like every time we write a review, you've got to lot points off if they're not hitting that 5 years at least. Yeah. And I think Toyota for the longest time hasn't had to care because they've shoveled so many units, especially for fleets and such.
Yep.
But I think the clock's ticking.
Yes.
The time has come.
And we must say we've just left MuskWatch behind, but Tesla is out there with 8 years and technically unlimited, although I think it's on mechanical and electrical components is 160, which seems like a bit of a get out of jail clause. But still, 8 years, they're out there with that, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. And I think, like you say, Toyota has sold on the fact that it's known as a reliable brand, and it hasn't needed to go that extra step, where more and more you're hearing problems. You might have heard problems about Holdens, you might have heard problems about Fords, and I haven't heard much with Mazda having problems, but they've obviously judged that there's a market perception that 5 year is where people need to be. Obviously, the ACCC is looking into car warranties as well.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where you've got to move or you'll be forced to move. So,
true.
Interestingly, and I'll need to investigate this a little bit further, but the BT50 Ute up until this and maybe after this has only had a 2 year unlimited warranty.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So in the finer details, it says you'll be covered for a 2 year unlimited kilometre warranty, or up to 3 years limited to 100,000 if you don't reach 100,000 in the first 2 years.
Is that just for the BT50?
Just for BT50.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things, and like you say, the other brands, I've spoken to Subaru and they said that the market, might be asking for it, but they're doing promotional things with warranty, and there's a few brands that do promotional things. I think Holden learnt its lesson that you can't have warranty as a promo thing.
Dropping in and out of the market. You're
just isolating buyers who missed out on it by a week or bought the car before they did the promo thing. It's silly.
You're right. Much and all, as we're singling out Toyota, you've also got Nissan, you've got Volkswagen, Subaru. They're still at 3 years unlimited. Mm-hmm. So the pressure's on them as well. And look, if you go back, say, a few decades, 30 years, there were some pretty crappy cars around.
Yeah.
And it was always, the warranty was always, is that a really ordinary brand trying to underpin its worth and convince you that there's a safety net? Or is it a really strong brand, so confident of its product that you don't have to worry and they're not worried for that period of time? I think it's now very much the latter.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a marketing tool just to reassure people. So, Toyota's been able to rest on its laurels to a certain degree, but now I think they have to meet the market.
But look at what the 7 year thing's done for Kia sales. I mean, they've skyrocketed. And if you're buying a used Kia now, a 4-year-old Kia that's still got the equivalent of a Toyota, Nissan, Subaru,
warranty
or Volkswagen warranty on it.
That's so telling.
How good is that?
Yeah.
You might be paying a third of the cost of the new car, but you're getting a new car warranty.
There's a lot of warranty left on your Falcon, isn't there, Tom? Still.
I think it's long past. It was a 2009 model. So
yeah, right. So you haven't got long to go.
No. I trust it. But no, I was actually looking at used values for old Sportages, and you can see the date that 7 year warranty started, the used value just skyrockets.
And it was good before that. It was a 5 year before that. So good on Kia for committing to the market, And the Korean brands, they understand that there's a thing to be grabbed there that some other brands haven't quite got the idea of yet, that if you get a customer in and you keep them, they're there for life.
Well, they'll
tell their friends. If you're good to them, they'll be good to you.
And really, notwithstanding Tesla, they're still one out. 4 years after making that move, a very bold one, they're still out there on their own.
It makes you wonder if the other brands are a bit scared of the potential costs of doing such a warranty.
It does.
And I think it's a balance. Like going back to Toyota again, it's probably just a balance sheet thing for them. They've probably looked at it and gone,
Yeah. We can compromise on that and still get our numbers. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if that holds out. But look, another one, and we're talking about warranties, we're talking about brands, we're talking about Korean brands. Mm-hmm. Here's one that's been reloaded for the Australian market, and that's SsangYong, which was previously imported, distributed by a private enterprise, but is now, for the first time for the brand, as I understand, a factory subsidiary. So come in as its own shop in Australia, And Matt, you've driven all of the models they're going to launch.
I have.
Give us the high-level thumbnail on what they've got.
All right. So, first of all, they're looking at a 7-year warranty, which is important.
Yep.
It could be the thing that will make or break the brand if they decide to come in with a 5-year warranty, which they get from the factory. That's a 5-year warranty. So Australia's rallying for a 7-year warranty for a launch in November, where there will be 4 models.
Right.
So there will be the Tivoli, which is a small SUV competing with the likes of the CX3 and Nissan Qashqai and those sorts of vehicles.
Not a small theatre where, show tunes will be... No.
Well,
okay,
not that I'm
fine.
aware of.
Okay, fine.
Then there's the Tivoli XLV,
Okay.
which is a stretched version of the Tivoli with a slightly higher roof, and it's a very, very practical small SUV. So you'd sort of look at it as a rival to the Honda HR-V because it's got the practicality thing going for it. It's about the size of a BMW X1, not that much smaller than a previous generation Mazda CX-5. So it's a pretty sizable small SUV, if there can be such a thing.
Righto. Yep.
Then there's the next size up in, well, it's 2 sizes up in the SUV ranks, is the Rexton.
Yep.
And it's sort of a competitor to, you'd say, a Pajero Sport, an Isuzu MUX, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Probably a little bit cheaper. It might be priced around the same area as the LDV D90.
Righto.
Which is, a Chinese
built one. Yep.
But it's only available with petrol, where the Rexton will have petrol and diesel. Which is great, to be able to offer that to buyers, strong towing, all that sort of stuff. And then there's the guy up behind you on the screen there, the Musso.
Yeah.
Which is based off the Rexton SUV.
Yes.
But with no boot. It's just got a chopped off back end.
And as I read in your story, it's kind of the inverse of normal practice.
Yeah.
In that things like the Toyota Fortuner are an SUV version of the of the Hilux, of course, and the Ranger and Everest, and that kind of stuff. This came first.
Yeah. So Rexton comes first.
Yep.
Musso comes off
after.
the back of it.
Yeah.
So,
and it is still a ladder chassis, though.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Weird.
and there's going to be 2 versions of Musso, which is really critical because there's going to be a short version, which is the one you see up there.
Yep.
It's only got a 1300 mil tub, which is quite small. Most dual cab utes have about 1550 millimeters of tub length.
It might not sound much, but that's a pretty significant difference, actually.
It is, yeah. And then they're going to build a longer version with nearly 1600 mils of tub length.
Okay.
So it'll be good to have 2 options for buyers, but the really cool thing about the Musso in the long version is you're going to be able to have a leaf spring rear end or a coil spring rear end.
Is that right?
Depending on what you want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Will they be alone in that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they will be. Yeah.
So there are, Nissan has a coil spring rear end in dual cabs and a leaf spring rear end in single and extra cabs, but this will be the first dual cab to have the option of coil or
Will that
leaf.
depend on spec level, or is it an independent option?
Not sure yet. They
Don't know
haven't
yet.
clarified it, but I would imagine that it could be based on spec.
Yeah.
So they might do a work focused one and with a higher payload and maybe, I guess they'll both have the same towing capacity, but maybe not. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Cool. It's
cool.
Yeah,
Great.
that Musso, it's just yet another dual cab ute. The kind of spread of offerings in that market just continues to grow. Unstoppable.
Exactly right.
Speaking of unstoppable, now a word from our sponsors.
In 1914, 2 Aussie visionaries decided it was time for a new kind of car. After meeting face down on the floor of the Bridge Hotel in Echuca, mates Ern Alcock and Horry Wheeler began working on their dream, and 3 years later the Winton Motor Company was born. Our founders knew Australians needed a rugged car for tough local conditions with no-nonsense performance and breakthrough design. Their first production model, the 15, known to Winton enthusiasts the world over as the Mongo, was an unstoppable 15-cylinder force of nature, which set the benchmark for the Wanderers, Wildcats and Turbos that have followed in its illustrious wheel tracks. As Prime Minister Billy Hughes, standing next to the first Mongo, uttered those famous words, "She's a ute," Australians knew they had a winner on their hands. And 101 years later, Winton remains at the frontier of progress and performance, with the groundbreaking 2018 Winton Turbo exported to more than 100 countries. We think Ern and Horry would approve. The Winton Motor Company. Go Australia.
Okay, that begs the question, where's Frosty? He sends his apologies, but he's been in France handling PR for, Team Winton.
Has he?
This year's Tour de France.
Oh.
He was in Paris on Sunday at the finish of the final Champs-Élysées stage, or Des's Champs-Élysées, as Frosty always calls it. Not the result the team wanted. They didn't finish in the top group, but he was pretty happy overall. There was a small incident between Frosty, the head of the movie star team, and former French President Francois Hollande in a bar on the left bank that evening, but a few strategically placed euros and, some stitches, half a dozen stitches, fixed all that up. It's no problem.
Good on him.
Okay, so...
got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
You do. Now, where are we?
Don't condone violence.
The Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries, quite rightly, has taken it upon themselves. Now, for people that don't know, the FCAI is a representative body for all of the car brands that are selling new cars in the Australian market. Mm-hmm. It's funded by all of the different brands, and the FCAI has decided to get on with helping people find out whether or not their car has a Takata impacted airbag. It's going to be called, the campaign is going to be called, where are we?
Is my airbag safe?
No. Oh, look, that's the website. Anyway, what have they called it? I think it's.
Don't Die Wondering.
Don't Die Wondering. There you go. Thank you very much, Matt. Got me out of that one. And there's the website that you mentioned though is fantastic.
Yes,
it's called ismyairbagsafe.com.au. And I've got to say, our eldest daughter has just bought her first car. It's a second-hand Toyota. It's a 2008 model. And I went on to that website. All you do is put the rego number in. It then coughs up the VIN, and then you can take that VIN, clickable straight from the FCAI site, off to Toyota. And it said, actually, that car is in the batch of cars that may be impacted by this whole thing. Then checked it, and the recall's been done. So you're able to tell, as a second-hand car buyer, whether or not your car has been fixed up. When we bought the car, there were little recall patches on the A-pillar, but not quite sure which ones they are. So that was really good peace of mind. So,
just to give you an idea, I've just typed in my number plate for my little Volkswagen down up. And it's popped up. Your vehicle's airbags may be affected by the recall. Your Volkswagen up is identified as affected by the recall. So I've got to check with Volkswagen and see what I've got to do next.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It could save my life. That's the thing that I don't think has been really presented well enough to the public is that people have died because of their airbags, and that's not okay.
Exactly.
And the general level of kind of apathy that it's gotten to with some users is they've had literal Mitsubishi employees knocking on people's doors being like, please change this. We've asked you a million times. We've sent you the letters. We've tried. We're now sending an employee to your door. It's a grenade in your steering wheel, guys.
Yeah.
Have a look. I mean, it was largely through various parts of the Takata business not paying proper attention to the storage of chemicals and other things that went into the propellant for these airbags. And in humid areas, parts of the actual ring that retains the explosive parts of the airbag can degrade, and actually when the airbag deploys, it's like being shot with a shotgun. Metal shrapnel will come out at you. So the ultimate irony being that something that's meant to keep you safe can kill you. And there have been a lot of deaths and injuries around the world. It's now standing as definitely the biggest recall in the auto industry's history, and possibly the biggest recall ever in commercial terms. So it's massive. I would say get to that website and get onto it. And there are two types. There's an alpha and beta bag. Mm-hmm. The alpha bag is the one that at this stage is more likely to be volatile. And the recommendation is, if you have one of those airbags fitted, don't drive your car. Stop it. Put it on a flatbed. Get it to the dealer. Don't drive it. It's that dangerous.
Wow.
So,
and of course, the dealer will cover all the costs for replacing the airbag or airbags in some cases. So don't be worried that it might cost you something. All the cost was your time and hopefully not your life.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. So moving on, Lamborghini has managed to wrest the title of quickest production car around the Nurburgring from Porsche. So it's just a battle of the big swinging thingos to determine, who is fastest around there. And this is a car that hasn't even been launched yet. We're talking about the Lambo SVJ. So it's the Aventador Super Veloce Iota, which is going to be launched later this year. It was steered by a factory driver, Marco Mappelli, what a great name. And it went around there in 6:44.97 versus the GT2 RS 911's time of 6:47.30. So it continues. Does anyone care? We did. We cared enough to put it on the podcast. That exhale of breath would say otherwise.
I don't care. I mean, these cars are in the realm of the very, very small percent.
Yeah.
And I get the bragging rights. I get the what swinging rights that comes with it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, does it send any sort of good message apart from I drive a really fast car?
Tom, does it fire you up?
Look, not really. I mean, they're broken so frequently now. It's sort of, and they have all these different categories, and it just sort of all washes into this kind of someone went to the Nurburgring today.
Right.
Yeah.
But that having been said, as you said, the car hasn't even been released yet.
Yeah.
As you can see there, it's in some very cool looking camouflage. Isn't that the coolest looking camouflage
I
you've
think
ever?
I'd probably order mine in that paint scheme.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
It looks great for a camouflage car.
Yeah.
But there is some pretty amazing work that's gone into this car. They've apparently a lot of the time shaved off from the last run they did, which was in the Huracan, is all down to the aero work they've done. So it has all sorts of active aero and crazy moving parts and things. And
because really it's the last quarter of that lap is just absolutely flat out gun barrel straight.
Yeah.
So the aero, through the corners, but also efficiency and getting the top speed and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, it's an amazing feat of technology. It's an amazing feat for the driver, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Good on Marco.
Yeah, I think
Double M, as we call him.
Yeah, deep down, you're probably right. Who cares?
Now, talking of who cares, Queenie,
Oh, yeah.
Queen Elizabeth,
We're really talking to the majority of people here, aren't
Liz
we?
to her mates.
For sure.
She's obviously, come up against a bit of a hard time and has to offload a couple of vehicles. She's cleaning out the shed.
This is a pre-will sale, isn't it?
Maybe.
Everything must go.
Yeah.
I'm cashing in before I cash out.
Cashing my chips. So a couple of Rolls Royces. Tom, you wrote this story.
I did.
Tell us about it. Bonhams are going to put them under the gavel, as it were.
Yeah, so at their Goodwood Revival auction, which is on the 8th of September, they're going to auction off a bunch of Rolls Royces. There's actually quite a few in the collection there that are going under the hammer. So, but two of them actually belong in the Royal Mews, or they have belonged in the Royal Mews before. They're personal property of the Queen herself.
Yeah.
The most interesting one, I think, is definitely the top one because it's a Phantom 4. And a lot of people might not know, but the Phantom 4 is kind of special among Rolls Royces because only 18 of them were built. Originally... 17
of which Queen Elizabeth has.
Well, yeah, almost.
Okay.
A few went to the Middle East, but originally one was built for the royal family. Various dictators around the world saw this thing and they wanted one, so Rolls-Royce produced 18, but there's only 18 chassis. This one, on top of all that, is special in that it's the only one that was built as a landaulet. So
that means the rear part of the roof is retractable?
Yeah, basically it's a limo, so it's got a hard top, and then you've got a convertible bit at the back there. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I wonder what you'd do with it, but anyway, who knows? Someone might raise their paddle and decide that they want to own that car.
The price for anyone interested, 1.8 million Australian dollars they expected minimum.
Right. Oh,
which in the scheme of exotic auction results is actually pretty affordable.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
All right. Now we're going to do a couple of quick whip rounds. This is our new segment called Blowing a Gasket, where we're going to have a red hot go on opinions. And this one is going to be manual versus automatic.
Okay.
What's your preference? Now, this question posed a few years ago may have been completely different. We're talking 2018. It depends on context, but just shoot from the hip. What's your preference these days in terms of manual or automatic?
I'm in the market for a manual rear-wheel drive car at the moment.
You are?
Yep. I'm tired of an auto. I think definitely 2018, if you want to go quick, auto's objectively better.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather have a manual every day. It's just about
being in
pleasure
the
of
gear
the
you want to
drive.
be when you want to be in there, changing all that, physical involvement. Matt, where do you stand on it?
I own an automatic and a manual.
Ah.
So my partner's car is a automatic Mini and my car is a manual Volkswagen Up. And I don't drive my Up very much, not because it's manual, but just because I don't drive it much.
Yeah.
I drive her car even less. But I realistically, if I had to drive the same car every single day, it'd be automatic.
Right. Okay. I think it's totally depends on the context. And I do recall going to it wasn't a Porsche 911 launch, it was a gearbox launch. So it was when Tiptronic arrived in, I want to say, about 1990, something like that. Went to Calder Park, and the thought of an automatic 911 was just sort of laughable at that time. Like, what are they doing? This is the end of it. Oh, the whole sky's going to come crashing down. And I remember at the end of the day thinking that was really unexpected, because I thought the car would be better in manual mode on the circuit and probably out on the open road better in auto. It was exactly the reverse, because it was one of the first sort of active gearboxes that I'd ever dealt with. It quickly picked up your driving style, and round the track it was just great. Yeah. And then out on the open road you found yourself driving it in manual.
But there's sometimes... sorry.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead. I was going to say, there's nothing more annoying than an automatic that you can't put in a fully manual mode. Like in an intent car, like in a sporty car like the Kia Stinger that I've been driving in recent times, no fully manual mode. So it'll override you. If it thinks that you're going to hurt the gearbox by not shifting up and hitting the red line, then it'll just go, bang, you're in the next gear. I don't want the next gear.
I want to blow up my engine.
I think the warranty should be good for that, right?
I think Toyotas for a while had it so it didn't work like a manual even remotely. It was just, it would give you could move with the paddle what you wanted the top gear to be, and the car would still override you if you went too high in the revs.
Well, I think to your point, Matt, in traffic, in cities sort of driving, an auto's got to be the go. And some of these dual clutch autos are so good. You know, driving a Ferrari dual clutch, that changes your mind about how good they can be. Anyway, so I'd probably say manual, because I do actually like being able to choose the gear I want to be in at any given time.
And you're right, you do feel more in control of everything that's happening if you are in control of the gears.
But tell us what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Listeners and viewers, let us in on your thoughts. Now, another quick whip round. In our garage, what have we been driving? Possibly more than one car, but the one that stands out. Tom, what have you been in?
Well, I've had the Ford Mondeo in the last week. Really surprising.
Okay.
Really, it's like a luxury car now. It's moved above what people's perception of what the Mondeo probably used to be in the 90s. I quite liked it.
It's a great car. It's one of Ford's best kept secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
all
don't
they have to
market
do
it
is
at
tell
all, do
people
they?
about it, and people would buy it.
Yeah, and I think it's on its deathbed.
Yeah.
We've seen Ford Fusion is going to be soon. So,
and that's really thanks to the US strategy, isn't it? Like,
but before we go any further, you need to show the lovely viewers our...
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
In our garage, there it is.
Oh, mate.
We've had graphic artists slaving over this for weeks.
That's full of asbestos.
He's done well.
Yeah. That is our garage. You wouldn't believe how many cars are in there.
Just don't breathe the air.
There's also a 917K in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, Matt. Your primary means of transportation has been?
I think I've been in a Kia Stinger mostly.
Yep.
I've been doing a range review, looking at a few different variants of the Kia Stinger range, including the 2-litre and 2 versions of the 3.3-litre.
Yep.
And I agree with 92% of Stinger buyers that the GT is the one to buy. So,
very good.
It's been good, but I also had a little bit of time in the HSV Sports Cat Plus.
Yes.
Which... We've driven the Sports Cat previously. We did a comparison against a Tickford Ranger. And the Sports Cat Plus adds AP racing shocks and better brakes. And it's a much better ute, but it's still not a great ute.
What's the suspension under the back of that?
It's a ladder frame.
But coils?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I have to check.
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
All right. But how did it ride?
It rode better than the last one.
Okay. And just quickly, I've been in the Suzuki Swift Sport. Just drove it for last night.
Oh, yeah.
And I was really surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean,
good fun.
Suzuki Swift's always been pretty handy. That car even though there are a few hard plastics, you're tapping the plastics and things, the design of it's really cool. Little ambient lighting bits in red, and the car drives beautifully. It's got plenty of acceleration, and it's really agile. I liked it. I like it a lot.
I reviewed it last year. I loved it.
Very good.
But the question is it worth $27,500?
Which is a fair question, and possibly not. No. But if you took 3 or 4 off that, definitely. Yeah. So it's a pretty sensitive kind of price point. You don't have to shift it in a seismic way to bring it into the bounds of reason.
Yeah, and I think, with a brand like Volkswagen with the Polo GTI, they're going to be at $30,000 plus for the new generation model, which will be automatic only. There won't be a manual anymore. So, and then you've got the Ford Fiesta ST coming to challenge in that segment with a 3-cylinder engine soon. So, can't wait for this hot hatch battle.
It'll be fun.
Very good.
We're going to do it.
Fun for everyone.
I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I think we've reached the finish line. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And thanks to our producer, Marsden, for his sterling efforts behind the scenes. He whinges that I talk to him like an idiot, but how else is he going to understand? Thank you for listening, and please give us your thoughts on anything we've discussed today. Search for Cars Guide on Facebook and Instagram and use the hashtag CGPodcast, or email us at comments@carsguide.com.au. You can listen to and watch us on YouTube, and if you're an iTunes devotee, please rate and review us. Our newest best friend, Steve Jones, likes the use of the screen for YouTube viewers, so thanks for that, Steve. I hope you can join us next week. Until then, my drive home last night was a disaster. 2 cheese trucks ran into each other. Debris was everywhere.
Dad.